Through the dense fog, rays of light penetrate, illuminating the dark silhouettes of trees like ghosts, lurking for anyone daring to enter these ominous woods. The forest, known as the Shadow Wood, stood not far from a small, secluded town. This ancient forest was replete with secrets and mysteries. However, one story, shrouded in darkness and horror, has haunted its residents for 60 years. Legend speaks of a strange ghost that roams the Shadow Wood. Travelers who accidentally venture into these ominous thickets often encounter it. The ghost is always adorned in a luxurious suite, as if stitched from nocturnal nightmares. Its gaze is dead and cold, like ice, and the hands protruding from under a long cloak appear as ghostly shadows of death. It never spoke, but its presence was so menacing that those who came near felt shivers down their spines. This mysterious figure witnessed many events in the Shadow Wood. It was spotted near places where people disappeared and inexplicable phenomena occurred. Shortly before the victims vanished, people saw the ghostly face immersed in shadow. Observing them, they described it as the embodiment of merciless destiny, ready to drag them into the abyss of the unknown. One day, a young explorer named Elizabeth decided to unravel the mystery of this ghost. She was an ambitious woman, willing to make any sacrifice to untangle this enigmatic puzzle. Armed with a flashlight and a notebook, she ventured into the Shadow Wood, determined to decipher this mystical conundrum. With each step into the dense forest, Elizabeth felt a bone-chilling cold that permeated her being. The thick fog enveloped her, drawing her into this dark realm, steeped in legends. She had to move slowly, inspecting every tree, every bush, and every stone. She was resolved to uncover the secret, but even she didn't know what she might discover. With every step, the forest grew quieter and more desolate. Elizabeth felt someone watching her, but the ghost did not reveal itself. Suddenly, in the distance, she saw the pale, ghostly face in the shadows. It was the ghost everyone spoke of. Its eyes were filled with bitterness and loneliness, as if confined to this forest for centuries. But instead of fear, Elizabeth felt an incredible attraction. She was certain that this ghost knew something important, that it held the key to solving the mystery. Her heart pounded with each step as Elizabeth approached the ghost. She tried to speak to it, but its lips remained unmoving. Nevertheless, she felt that it understood her words. Instead of words, the ghost used its gaze, which seemed insightful and wise. It led Elizabeth deeper into the forest, to a place where the secrets of this dark world began to unfold. They arrived at a massive ancient tree, standing like a guardian of wisdom and knowledge. The ghost pointed to an old scroll, covered in the dust of time. Elizabeth unrolled it and began reading the ancient writings. These records told of a soul lost in the forest, of a ghost unable to leave this place until it found someone to help free its soul. The ghost's words whispered softly in Elizabeth's ears, urging her to help. She was determined to assist this spirit, understanding that its torment must come to an end. She commenced an ancient ritual to release the ghost's soul. With each incantation, the ghost became brighter, its eyes filled with gratitude and tranquility. At the end of the ritual, it vanished as if dispersing into the air, leaving only the shadow of memories of its existence. But Elizabeth felt the magic of the shadow wood enveloping her. Pulsating shadows slid across her skin like invisible fingers, ready to embrace her and absorb her into this world of mysteries and mystique. She gazed into the bright morning that had just dawned in the town, knowing it would be the last time she would see daylight as the living did. With each passing moment, Elizabeth felt her physical body beginning to dissolve, becoming less and less concrete. She became part of the shadow wood, taking on a new form and power. Her memories, desires, and feelings intertwined with the ancient wisdom of the forest, creating a unique being that awakened the wisdom of the past and the determination of the future. Elizabeth was no longer just a woman. She became the guardian of the shadow wood. Her eyes, now sparkling with green, could see every corner of this mystical corner of nature. She gained the ability to slow time, confusing and misleading those who dared to disturb the peace of the forest. The essence of the ghost she replaced now freely roamed the spirit world, finding peace that had long been stolen from her. Elizabeth felt a connection with her, like a thin thread linking their worlds, and she promised to keep the memory of the ghost, her predecessor. Now the shadow wood had its protector. Elizabeth acquired a new life, a new being, becoming a ghost in place of the former. Her shadow became part of this ancient mystery, ready to defend and preserve it from any dangers. And so, in the shadow of the shadow wood, she became the embodiment of hope and protection, guarding its secrets and bringing its legends to life. The dreams unfolded unexpectedly, initially presenting as enigmatic and incomprehensible imagery. Gradually, they metamorphosed into a harrowing nightmare, blurring the boundaries between reality and fantasy each night. In this surreal realm, shadows relentlessly pursued me. Undefined, ominous figures gliding on the periphery of my vision. Their penetrating gazes instilled unspeakable terror, and the dream was fraught with strange symbols and mysterious whispers, as if echoes from the past sought to convey a crucial message. As the dreams intensified, their realism heightened, allowing me to perceive smells and sensations. Yet, it was the vivid emotions that struck me most profoundly. The fear, disbelief, and despair that mimicked genuine experiences. However, come morning, everything dissipated, leaving behind the notion that the dreams were mere illusions crafted by my mind. Night after night, the dreams deepened in intensity, Familiar faces surfaced without recollection, accompanied by whispered, unfamiliar names that somehow felt significant. It resembled a fragmented puzzle scattered across my nightmares, elusive pieces preventing the assembly of a coherent picture. During one particularly vivid dream, I found myself within an ancient mansion, long corridors draped in heavy velvet, exuding an ominous atmosphere. Though the circumstances leading me there eluded me, an inner compulsion urged me to explore further. Each dark room harbored forgotten and cursed elements lurking in the shadows. A faint whisper reached my ears, pleading for help. Though I couldn't discern its origin, the voice echoed with longing and despair. Attempts to seek clarification yielded confusing responses, akin to conversing with a ghost, unable to articulate its words clearly. Submerged in these perplexing dreams, I sensed an urgent message awaiting deciphering. The dreams became a vital aspect of my existence, and attempts to comprehend only fueled my confusion. One day, awakening in a cold sweat, a palpable sense of impending importance gripped me. The dreams blurred the lines between past and present, weaving a tapestry of mysteries and riddles. Seeking professional guidance proved futile, as the dreams invaded waking hours, casting shadows and whispers even in lucid moments. Sleep became a dreaded prospect, the anticipation of unknown dangers looming with each new dream. Opting for self-investigation, I delved into the history of the mansion from my dreams. Unraveling its mysteries, I discovered an abandoned building with a dark past, the unsolved disappearance of a family, decades ago. As I connected the past to my dreams, a realization dawned. The shadows and whispers were the tormented souls of those who vanished. Driven by guilt for not aiding them, I resolved to solve the mystery. Returning to the mansion in my dreams, fear gave way to determination. Confronting a waiting shadow, I inquired about its intentions and the reason for tormenting me. "Help us find peace," the shadow pleaded. "Reveal our secret, and we will be set free." Each question unveiled more details. The family's tragic confinement in the mansion's basement, succumbing to hunger and thirst. They pleaded for help, unheard in their final moments. I became their last hope, burdened by the responsibility to unveil their story. Armed with the truth, I shared their tale with the world, and the shadows dissipated. The once torturous dreams ceased, and I found solace. Yet, in the quiet of night, a benevolent presence lingered, an invisible guardian. The shadows of vanished souls, grateful and no longer tormented. Their mystery solved, I was no longer alone. Life and death, intertwined in a delicate thread, reminded me that traces of our existence endure, and sometimes, in the darkness, a watchful presence from the past remains. Part 1. Delving into the abyss. After contemplating for several weeks, I made the decision to seek the expertise of a hypnotherapist. Despite harboring uncertainties about this therapeutic approach, desperation drove me to pursue it as a means to liberate myself from the nightly torment of nightmares. Dr. Alexander Grayson, the hypnotherapist, presented as an aged man with a weary countenance, and his eyes held both fatigue and impenetrable wisdom. Silence enveloped his office, punctuated only by the steady ticking of an antique clock on the wall. As Dr. Grayson commenced the hypnosis session, his voice wrapped around me like an encroaching wave of darkness, submerging all my thoughts and emotions. Though initially calm, An unsettling restlessness gripped me as the doctor delved into the depths of my subconscious. Memories distorted, as if delicately erased from my mind. "You're delving deep into the dark eyes of your subconscious," pronounced the doctor, his voice carrying a hypnotic cadence. Attempts to articulate were futile, as words clung to my throat. A profound sense of loss overwhelmed me, and I felt the dissolution of myself. Reality ebbed away like grains of sand carried by the wind. Upon opening my eyes, I found myself in an unrecognizable place. The darkness was so dense that only a faint glow in the distance penetrated the obscurity. Proceeding forward almost involuntarily, I was magnetically drawn to the light. As I drew closer, it became apparent that this was not merely a light, but something emerging from the encompassing darkness. Part 2. Confrontation with the impure. Upon reaching the light, I discerned it emanated from an ancient stone altar. Atop the altar rested a creature, a fusion of human and unclean. Its skin bore a pallid gray, akin to that of a deceased person, and its eyes radiated darkness. Cloaked in tattered rags, its body bore tattoos depicting strange and eerie symbols. "You awakened me," intoned the creature, its voice resonating like a bell tolling in the oppressive silence. "Now I am free." Attempting to retreat proved futile. Something invisible held me in place. The creature advanced, its eyes shimmering with an ominous light. "You have entered my nightmare world," it whispered, its voice resembling a murmur from a realm bereft of life. "You belong to me." It dawned on me that this being was a manifestation stirred within me during hypnosis, an entity of my subconscious, torn from me and brought to life in this shadowed realm. It began to probe my darkest thoughts, my most sinister desires. I stood exposed before it, akin to standing before a judge scrutinizing all my sins and maladies of the soul. Part 3. Liberation from the abyss. Weeks transitioned into months, and I became a captive within this nightmarish world. The creature offered no respite. Its presence was an omnipresent force, observing every move and infiltrating every thought. Nightmares, surpassing any imagination, consumed me entirely. The darkness swallowed me whole, and I commenced losing myself in its depths. Yet, on a day teetering on the edge of despair, a voice emerged within, a barely audible whisper amid the darkness. "You can overcome it," it asserted. "You must find the strength within you." Sleepless nights blurred into an unending morass. Each night, I sank into my own fears, and the struggle recommenced. Nightmarish visions and memories of the past haunted me like spectral apparitions, robbing me of sleep. My bedroom transformed into an arena for the battle between my mind and the dark creature. Nights echoed with screams and whispers. The creature sought to break me, fostering doubt in my ability to overcome. However, I remained steadfast. I resolved to explore my fears and pains, delving into the darkest corners of my mind to uncover the key to defeating this malevolence. Night after night, I immersed myself in meditation, exploring the deepest recesses of my soul. I relived my fears repeatedly until I unearthed their origins. With each session, I grew stronger. Clarity infused my thoughts, and I began to comprehend the nature of this being, an aspect of myself, a projection of my darkest and most unsettling emotions. One day, prepared for the battle, I descended back into my nightmares. The creature materialized, its dark eyes gleaming with hatred. This time, I was ready. Utilizing my pains and fears as weapons, I channeled all my anguish into the assault, abandoning doubts and fears. With a fervor previously unknown to me, I attacked the creature, piercing it with my thoughts and feelings like a sword. Finally, at a moment when hope was nearly extinguished, I identified its vulnerability, its own fear and doubt about its power. I targeted that weakness as if striking at its very heart. The creature groaned, dissolving into darkness, its form fading and screams silenced. Upon reopening my eyes, I found myself back in Dr. Grayson's office. His curious gaze suggested he had witnessed something extraordinary. I realized I had conquered the creature, triumphing over my fears and nightmares. The price, however, was steep. I was exhausted and drained, as if having journeyed through hell and back. Several years have elapsed since that nightmarish experience, yet it lingers within me like an unhealed wound. I have evolved, becoming more resilient, yet a shadow of fear persists in my eyes. I understand that the nightmare world remains within, patiently waiting for the opportune moment to resurface and engulf me once again.